Okay, now this is started. So these are the formulas which is giving here, okay, about the work done when the work is positive and work is negative, when the volume is, when the final and initial volume is less than 0 and greater than 0. When less than 0, this work is positive, and the greater than 0 work is negative. That is exothermic or endothermic reactions. This is the example of exothermic endothermic reactions. What is the enthalpy? This enthalpy, I already explained you very well. This enthalpy work at constant pressure, right? And the enthalpy work at constant internal energy, work at constant volume. So at constant pressure, I gave the example, the experiment you have, that is in the lab, that is a calorimetry, right? That is the calorimeter is the open system. So that we calculate delta H for the heat or enthalpy or energy at constant pressure. But this internal energy we did not do it because that was the bomb calorimeter that I did not cover it in the class. So that is not in the course. So this similarly the exothermic endothermic reaction also the same thing. Enthalpy for a reaction, you will calculate for enthalpy of the reaction, you calculate the product minus reactant. This is the direct calculation. Similar for exothermic reaction, delta H is negative and delta H is positive for endothermic reaction. So suppose this example you have, this is the whole reaction. So you should know that this according to the concept chapter 3, right? Stoichiometric calculation. So this is a gas form, right? All these sulfur dioxide combusted. Combustion means the burning in presence of oxygen. That is known as combustion. So sulfur dioxide gas react with oxygen, you form sulfur trioxide. 2 mole sulfur dioxide gives you 2 mole sulfur trioxide. And this negative means, it means exothermic. Because this negative, this much of kilojoules per mole heat is generated. So this heat is generated when 2 mole of sulfur dioxide consumed. Okay. Now the question is, calculate the heat evolved when 87.9 gram of sulfur dioxide consumed. So that is giving in the mole, but it is giving in the gram. So gram changed to mole. And you should know the relation. When 2 mole consume this, and whatever you calculate your mole from 87.9 gram, whatever moles you get it, that you should compare according to cross multiplication. If this much 2 moles gives you this much of energy, and suppose you are getting 1 mole, how much is divided by 2, like that. So this simple calculation. So you should compare this with whatever energy is giving in the question. And this is also another formula, but it is related to the gas, right? PV is equal to nRT, right? So delta H is equal to you remember that delta H, this is the delta U is equal to Q plus W, right? And delta H is equal to delta U plus P delta V. This work done, the pressure and volume. You always know that work is a function of pressure and volume. So what we do here, this is delta H minus PV is equal to nRT, right? PV. So in place of PV, we put nRT. R, you know that temperature is in Kelvin. Delta N you calculate it from the chemical equation. बस कहाँ पे हो? वालेकुम अस्सलाम. हेलो. क्लास हो रही है, मेरी क्लास है भाई, 12 बजे से क्लास चल रही है. So this is the formula related to the first law of thermodynamics in place of the ideal gas equation. If you know that, so you can convert this formula. The work done is the function of pressure and volume. Work done is equal to what? Pressure and volume. That is a function. So pressure PV is equal to nRT. So in place of pressure and volume, you put nRT. N is how you calculate number of mole. Delta N. Delta means what? Is it a state function? Could you tell me please? Delta N is the state function?
Yes, doctor.
Yes.
Final minus initial.
Yeah, final minus initial. So delta N you calculate from the chemical equation 2 minus 3, right? So minus 1 you get it. So just multiply by minus 1 here and R value you put it. This is already giving here. Temperature you change to Kelvin and delta H is already giving here minus 566. Delta internal energy you calculate delta U. Alright, so this is the way how to do that question. Calorimetry, you know that the calorimetry, this is the simple, heat capacity mass into specific heat, right? And specific heat and heat capacity. Heat capacity or specific heat, the difference I already explained in the lab. Heat capacity of a substance is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of a given quantity, right? Given quantity in moles of a substance by 1 degree Celsius. Simple, given quantity, right? If the question is asked molar heat capacity, molar. So you will write here temperature of a 1 mole of a substance by 1 degree Celsius. If in place of 1 molar or 1 mole, if you put 1 gram, that is specific heat. The difference between specific heat and molar heat capacity. Molar heat capacity related to the moles, specific heat capacity related to the 1 gram, not any substance. 1 gram. Okay, that is the difference. You should know this difference. This is a calculation. You can go through this. This is the calorimeter, right? We have already done in the experiment. In the experiment, we have not done delta H, but you should know the theory. What is delta H, whether it is a function, a state function or not, you should know the theory. In any question may be asked in the exam related to the theory. Although you have done the multiple choice question that is for a specific heat, but some questions maybe you will get for acid base analysis here, sodium hydroxide, HCl react with this, how much energy is absorbed or heat or released. This is exothermic reaction. So always in exothermic reaction, always heat is released. Endothermic reaction, always heat is absorbed. Standard enthalpy of formation. So this is the way how to determine the standard enthalpy of formation whenever the two pure elements, standard element, are combined together and it will make a compound. Alright, so in that case, the enthalpy change for the formation of 1 mole of a substance at a pressure of 1 atmosphere from its element in their standard state. So the standard enthalpy of the formation of any element in its most stable form is 0. As I told you in the periodic table, the standard enthalpy of pure element, of that is formation of the pure elements, all are 0. Either oxygen, nitrogen, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, all are 0, right? But the other molecule which is in the compound form, that is not 0, that has some values. Just like ozone. Ozone is not the pure element, ozone is a compound. So ozone has 142 kilojoules per mole. So these values, suppose the exam, in the exam, some question is there, so these values will be given, and some values you have to memorize yourself. That is pure metal, pure elements, right? That is all are zero, unless it is compound form, that is some values which is giving in the question. This is a formula here, the product minus reactant, as I told you in the previous slide. The summation of the number of moles of the formation of the product minus summation mole of standard formation of reactant, standard form of reactant, right? So the standard enthalpy of the reaction delta H naught reaction is the enthalpy of the reaction carried out at 1 atmosphere. That is at constant pressure, right? This reaction. This is the direct calculation, right? Hess's law, we have direct or indirect. Direct calculation, Hess's law, we can use this formula, but indirect calculation of Hess's law is different. In direct calculation, you have many series of reactions you will get, and you will get the one main equation in the beginning, and these all series of the equation, you go through that and you compare with the first which is giving in the top, that is the chemical equation, which compounds are on the left side, which compounds are on the right side. So you have to arrange that the series of steps, you keep all the compounds which is present in the main equation present in the left hand side, so you keep all the compound on the left hand side. If any compound is not present on the left hand side but present on the right hand side, so you have to reverse the equation. You have to reverse the whole equation. When you reverse it, the sign of delta H will be changed. If it is minus, will change to plus, right? So if sometime it is multiply by 2, suppose in the beginning your reactant is 2, but in the series of steps that compound is not 2, so you have to multiply by 2. So the whole reaction multiply by 2, even the sign and the values of delta H, remember that. But that is not the case of chapter 18. Chapter 18 is different. Okay, the sign cannot change in chapter 18 electrochemistry, so remember that. Only in chapter 6 the sign will change. So this is all about this one. See, the direct method and indirect method. Direct method is product minus reactant, summation of product minus summation of the number of moles. On the left hand side, just you add up all, and the values are given in the exam, in the question. Okay, just you put that, and those values are not giving, suppose the oxygen, so you should know that that is 0, so you keep it 0 in the reaction. In this way you calculate it. In direct method, as I told you, that this is a series of reactions here, and only the blue color main reaction is there. You have to look on the left hand side what is giving, on the right hand side what is giving. If those reaction which is the same on the left hand side, no need to change anything. Hydrogen is on the left hand side in the series of reaction, no need to change. C graphite on the left hand side, no need to change. But here C is 2, but here C is 1. So you have to multiply by 2. Look at here, I have already solved it. And also multiply by 2 here the number, the delta H value. So just go through this, in this way you calculate. In the last, you cancel all the common elements or compound which is present on the left and right side. You cancel that, but they are not in the main equation. That will be cancelled. See, this I already written here, and all these are cancelled, and whatever left, the same equation, whatever equation you have in the beginning, the same equation you get in the last. So the Hess's law is what? The Hess's law is the summation of all the equation, the delta H, you will get the same as you determine the delta H for direct calculation, right? So there is no difference of delta H, either you calculate directly or you calculate indirectly. The summation will be same. Only the methods are different. This is the same example, but this is for 2 mole of aluminium, and you calculate in the calculation you calculate for 1 mole. So for making a 2 mole, this is the you will get this whatever the joules you are getting divided by 2. So you will get per mole how much you get it, and per mole change to gram, and this gram divided by molar mass of aluminium, you will get 15.25 kilojoules per gram. If their question, if the in question they are asking in gram, then you change this. If not, just you put it only the moles. Per mole you calculate it because these are the aluminium is 2 moles in the chemical equation, so per mole divided by 2. If there is only a single mole, so no need to divide it by 2, so already the same answer you get. Alright, this is chapter 6. Chapter 9 and 10. Okay, now chapter 9. Chapter 9 related to what? Chemical bonding concept. Lewis dot symbol, you should know that Lewis dot symbol. Lewis dot symbol depends on their valence electron. Just you have to show the valence electron when you draw the Lewis dot. Dot means symbol. And whatever the groups it has, group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that indicate number of valence electron. So no need to confusion. Group 3, valence electron is 3. Group 4, valence electron is 4. Group 5, so the valence electron is there, but that is not belongs to the group. How many from the carbon, from the up to the carbon the electron release, but from the carbon release as well as gain, right? 4 electron release and 4 electron gain to become octet. Similarly 5, group 5. So 5 very difficult to release, so it is very easy to accommodate 3 electrons, so minus 3. My second group 6 is minus 2. Why minus 2? The 6 electron is very difficult to release, but 2 electron is easy to accept. So this 2 electron, that's why it become negative 2. So 6 group always be negative 2, 7 group always negative 1, and 8 group always 0, right? So in this way you should write the Lewis dot formula according to the group. And you should know about this ionic bond, pure metal and non-metal. Alright, how to draw this structure to complete their octet. Ionic bond and covalent bond. Covalent bond is the equal sharing of electron between the same non-metal. If you have different non-metal, it means that is polar covalent bond. They have different electronegativity. From 0 to 0.5, that is covalent. From 0.5 to onwards, 0.5 to 0.9, I think this is the I will show you here. So this is all about the Lewis dot formula, Lewis dot structure of the compound. That is the, you can also write, and this is the nitrogen. This I give you an example in the assignment. These are the polar covalent bond in which the electronegative atoms attract all the electron from hydrogen. So it will get negative, more negative and less positive charge created on this partially. This is not permanent, partially negative and partially positive. Permanent, you always have the charge on the ionic compound, plus and minus, because completely lost, completely gained, but this is temporary. Okay, so these all are non-metal but different atoms: hydrogen oxygen, hydrogen fluorine, hydrogen nitrogen, nitrogen oxygen, oxygen chlorine, like this, different non-metals. Electronegativity is the attracting power, right, itself, how much it attracts the electron. Okay, so electronegativity always increase from left to right, decrease from top to bottom. This is the case, right? These are the electronegative values are giving. On this values you can determine which one is electronegative, which one is ionic covalent and polar covalent bond. These are the values here. From 0 to 0.5 is a covalent, 0.5 to 1.9 is a polar covalent. Difference, these are the difference. And from 2 to 3.3 or onwards or more, that is ionic compound. So these are the example for which one is polar, which one is ionic, and which one is covalent. How to write the Lewis structure? Lewis structure. So you should know these are the 4 steps you have to show, right? If the question is there, so you have to show these 4 steps and the diagram or the structure of the molecule. As I told you one by one, remember that first of all, you should know the valence electron in whole molecule. If any molecule is given in the question, okay, draw the Lewis structure. So you should know the valence electron of each atom, and you add up, and you will take the total number of valence electron, and that total number of electrons you have to distribute into the whole molecule. So you have to show 4 steps. Number 1, you will write the total number of valence electron. Number 2, you have to find out which one is least electronegative element or atom which will be in the center. Second point, suppose carbon hydrogen, so hydrogen is a least electronegative, but it never be a central atom. Remember that, note down this please. Carbon is a central atom. Carbon nitrogen, whichever less, that will be central. Then third point is you have to draw the skeleton. Suppose CH4, you have an example. So C will be your center, H4 you have to arrange in such a way that the interaction between these 4 atoms will be less interaction. So it is just like the square. You will arrange 4 hydrogen. Okay, after that, then you add the bond between hydrogen and carbon. Okay, so bond means 2 electrons. So if suppose 4 bonds with the carbon, 4 bonds you make it, 4 bond means 8 electron, and CH4 total electron is what? C contain 4 in the valence electron, and hydrogen contain 1 in the hydrogen valence electron for hydrogen. So 4 hydrogen means 4 electron, and 1 carbon is 4 valence electrons, so 4 electrons. 4 plus 4 is 8 electron. So total electrons are 8 in CH4, and these electrons you have to distribute first. You will draw the skeleton C, and then 4 around the C, that is hydrogen, you put it. Then you will make a single bond. It means 4 single bond you made it, right? 4 single bond means 8 electrons. 4 single bond means 8 electrons, right? So 8 minus 8, you will get 0. So no electron will just put on the central atom because you will not get anything. If you are getting any extra electron left after putting all these structure, that electron you put on the central atom. That will change your geometry of the molecule. If there is no electron on the central atom, there will be no change in the geometry of the molecule, the same as if the arrangement is tetrahedral for this one, so geometry also tetrahedral. Unless the electron is present on the central atom, that geometry will change. So this is tetrahedral, and other geometry for CH4, this is because there is no electron, so that is. But if electron is there, suppose example water and ammonia, right? This general arrangement is tetrahedral, right? But geometry is not tetrahedral because when you draw the structure of this molecule, you will have in the water, you have the 2 lone pair of electron present on the oxygen central atom, and in ammonia, nitrogen, you have 1 lone pair of electron present on the nitrogen because these electrons are left after consuming all the electron around the nitrogen or around the oxygen. So this, because the extra electron present, lone pair of electron present on nitrogen and oxygen, they change the geometry from tetrahedral to bent. Water is the bent structure because of 2 lone pair of electron. And on ammonia, the tetrahedral change to trigonal pyramidal because of 1 lone pair of electron. So just go through this, okay, and you should know that if the question is there, you should write 4 steps with the structure. Since I explained very well all this NF3, how we this in the last, when you distribute all the electrons side atom, you should complete 8 electron, should be octet is complete. And after that you count the central atom. If the central atom octet is complete, that's very nice. If not complete, it means that question is wrong. It means that structure is wrong, not the question. So in that case, you have to take the lone pair of electron from side atom, you make it double bond. And remember that hydrogen and fluorine, they will never make a double bond. Always remember. Oxygen 6 group, nitrogen, carbon. Remember these 3 groups. Only carbon with carbon, carbon with nitrogen, carbon with oxygen. They will make single, double and triple bond. But carbon, nitrogen, oxygen with hydrogen and fluorine, they are always make single bond. Never double or triple bond with hydrogen and group 7. Okay, remember that. Note down this note on your notebook. Okay, see NF3. This only single bonds around this NF3. All single bond. And this lone pair of electron on the nitrogen, that change the geometry. Generally, this is tetrahedral, but the geometry has been changed from tetrahedral to just like an ammonia, remember, trigonal pyramidal. Okay, so this is all about how to make this. This is carbonate. In this case, see the first, this one. Are you able to see this presentation? Hello? Hello guys.
Yes, we can.
Right. So in number 3, look at this diagram, this structure. This oxygen octet is complete, but carbon octet is not complete. So this is wrong. Then we change to the right side. 1 lone pair of electron from oxygen transfer to the carbon. Make it double bond. So now in this way, this octet is complete, the oxygen complete, everything is, all octet is complete. So this is the correct answer. So correct structure. And this is the same example we have, the carbonate. This is the final structure. How you determine the example is here, formal charge, right? How to determine the formal charge for any compound, but in the whole compound, how many atoms they have. So you have to determine the formal charge of each atom, then whatever the charge on the whole molecule you have to cancel, and then you keep it there like that. I will explain. I will solve this now. This formula you should know that. One formula, two formula I told you. This is valence electron minus non-bonding electron minus half bonding electron. You have this formula, right? Now take an example here. This is another method I already explained. The formal charge on each atom you have to determine. Number 1 oxygen, number 2 oxygen, number 3 oxygen. So number 1 oxygen, I will take formal charge, valence electron. This is valence electron minus non-bonding electron minus half bonding electron. Why it is not there, valence electron? This is should be here, valence electron, Vs. Okay. All right. Now look at here, number 1 carbon, 1 oxygen, 6 valence electron minus 4 non-bonding electron, 1 2 3 4 minus half bonding electron. So by now, see, there are double bond between carbon and oxygen, so there are 4 electrons. These are bonding. So you will put here and you will get 6 minus 6, you will get 0. So number 1 oxygen, the formal charge is 0. Now number 2 oxygen, valence electron is oxygen 6 minus, now total how many non-bonding electron? 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. So 6 minus 6, half, only single bond. Single bond means 2 electrons. So minus half into 2. So this half into 2 will become 1. So 6 minus 6 minus 1. So 6 minus 7. So minus 1 is the formal charge on this oxygen. Oxygen 2. Alright. Now oxygen 3, you same as oxygen 2. Same, right? Minus 1. So minus 1 and minus 1 become minus 2. And now this oxygen is 0. So nothing to be lose, nothing to be add. So it's minus 2 is the charge. That's why I put 2 minus, right? 2 minus, that is the charge. Clear? Clear this calculation?
Yes,
Yes.
doctor.
Okay, now number C, carbon. Formula, the number of valence electron minus non-bonding. See, is there any non-bonding on the carbon? Tell me now.
No.
No, 0, right? So you will write 0 here. 4 minus 0, half bonding. See, look at the count. How many bonding electrons here around the carbon?
8.
4 plus 2 plus 2, right? Total 8. So 8 bonding, half into 8 bonding electrons. So 2 divided by this, 8 divided by 2 become 4. So 4 minus 4 becomes 0. So carbon is 0 formal charge. Any question now?
No, teacher.
Okay. See, this is all the method I already explained. Bond enthalpy. Bond enthalpy is this is different than bond. This is bond energy, right? And enthalpy of formation. This is not enthalpy of formation. This is bond energy or absorb or release. So this is a difference of formula. The previous formula for bond enthalpy, not the one enthalpy of a reaction. So product minus reactant. But here, when you determine the bond energy of chemical reaction, so that is the reactant minus product. This only the difference. So don't confuse. 9.10 and this is 9 chapter and that is 6 chapter enthalpy. Enthalpy of a reaction, summation of all these product minus reactant. Remember that. But here this bond in enthalpy, you have to write here bond enthalpy of reactant minus product. Summation. So bond broken minus bond formation. Because when the reactant is there and changed to the product, so you require some energy to break down. How much energy to require to break down the reactant and how much energy is released when the bonds are formed, right? So these are the bond broken minus bond formation. So this is the reactant, total summation of the bond energy of the reactant minus bond energy of the product. This is an example I am giving here. So for any chemical reaction, suppose H2, that is HH is broken, Cl2, Cl is broken. So these all are energies giving here for single bond, double bond and triple bond. Suppose in this reaction, this water molecule, how many water molecule bonds it has and how many bonds are broken? So you have to look here, see HOH, it means 2 bonds are broken of OH. So that's why the bond is 502. This is for single OH, right? If you have 2 OH, you multiply by 2. You have to write in summation. This is 2 OH. Okay. So this is case, the OH is again split into H and O. So you have this is OH and this is oxygen. So this is the difference. So you can add divided by 2. So the total of water you will get 464. Okay. Now this is an example. H2, there is HH single bond, Cl2, Cl single bond. So these 2 bonds are broken and 2 HCl are bond formed. So this 2 HCl, H and single bond Cl. So 2 HCl bonds are formed, right? So this is the way I already explained. See, the broken and this is broken. So this ClH is formed, this ClH. It means 2 HCl are formed. But in case of water, I already explained you here, 2 OH. 2 OH is already there and multiply by 2. It means 4 OH are formed. This is the way. If I remove 2 from here, so only 2 OH is there. Okay, I'm talking about these 2. Okay, suppose this 2 is not there. This 2 is not there, only water is there. Suppose only water. This is water. So it has 2 OH, right? 2 OH bond. If suppose you have 2 H2O, so 2 multiplied by HOH, it means this is already 2. So 2 here multiplied by 2. So it means you can write 4 OH bond. Is it clear? Hello?
Yes, clear.
Is this clear?
Yes, doctor, clear.
Why I put 4?
Because there is already 2 for OH,
Yeah,
and the 2 for the coefficient.
exactly. Yes. So this be careful. If suppose this type of questions are there. 2 HCl, this will be 2 only because only one HCl bond. There are no two bonds, right? As I told you, Cl and H always make single bond, and but oxygen make two bond, right? Carbon make two or three, nitrogen make two or three, oxygen make also two and three single bonds. So this is done now. These are all calculations, and these are the examples. Just go through that. Okay. 9 and 10 geometry I already explained you, and 12. One minute. I open different. Chapter 12. Okay, chapter 12 related to solution, right? How the solutions are formed, as I told you in the beginning, solute and solvent. The interaction between solute and interaction between solvent. When they are combined together, you will get solution. So, okay, like dissolve like. As I told you in the beginning, non-metal, non-metal, metal, metal, or the compounds polar and non-polar, right? Polar, it has positive and negative charge. Non-polar, they don't have any positive or any negative charge. But the polar covalent bond, they have partially positive, partially negative. So this is only the case, you remember, only non-polar molecule will dissolve in non-polar, and polar molecule dissolve in non-polar molecule. Polar solvent, polar covalent. Okay. So it the dipole moment play an important role here. Dipole moment is greater than 0, that is polar molecule. If dipole moment is 0 or less than 0, that is non-polar molecule. Alright, so the dipole moments are given in the question, right? Then you decide on the basis of, see, dipole moment is written here, and the question is the bromine, whether bromine is dissolved in this benzene or in water. Water dipole moment is 1.87, it means that is polar. And benzene dipole moment is 0, it means that is non-polar. So you should know that bromine is polar or non-polar. All non-metals elements are non-polar, they dissolve in non-polar solvent. KCl is a ionic compound. Is it polar or non-polar? Tell me now. KCl is polar or non-polar? Hello?
Polar, doctor.
Huh?
Polar because positive charge and minus charge.
Because ionic. Simple question, ionic. Ionic means positive and negative charge. So where it will dissolve? In CCl4 or in ammonia?
In ammonia.
In ammonia. Very good. So just you go through these practice questions here. Concentration. Okay, how to determine the mole fraction and percentage by mass. This we already explained. Okay, molarity and molality. You should know the formula. The moles of the solid divided by liter of the solution. And molality, moles of the solute are same, but mass of the solvent, not solution. The difference between here is just only, here is only solution, here is, remember, solvent, that is kilogram. This is solution is liter. So this is the difference between molarity and molality. Okay, this is the calculation, the molality of the sulfuric acid solution containing 24.4 gram of sulfuric acid in 198 gram. If you know the formula, so the formula it is not observing here. I think it is something problem. Oh sorry. Molality equal to what? Moles of the solute divided by kilogram of solvent. Right? Moles are not there. So what you have? What you do? Oh,
Divide by the molar mass to get the moles.
there is a molar mass, and you divide. What you divide? Please give me full answer. What you divide?
Divide the mass over the molar mass.
Which mass? Please answer, full answer. Which mass?
A mass
Mass of what?
H2SO4.
So tell me please, full answer. Mass of H2SO4 divided by molar mass of H2SO4, then you will get moles. This is already written here. Molar mass is giving here or not giving, you get it from periodic table. So moles of the solute you put it here, and the kilogram of solvent. Water is a solvent. So kilogram 198 divided by 1000, you will get kilogram of solvent 0.198 kilogram. So in this way, you put these two values, mole of the solute divided by 0.198, you will get molality. So this is in the short form, you can say molal, right? Moles per kilogram of solvent. This is known as molal. If you have molarity, capital M, moles per liter of the solution, we call it molar. Remember that. Final unit. Molar and molal. So this is the example, just you have the practice. And this is the last, I think. What is the effect of the temperature on solid and what is the effect of temperature on gas? It is opposite. On the solid, if you increase the temperature, the solubility increase. It will dissolve immediately. But in the gas form, opposite. Once you heat any gas, right, just like an example, Sprite or Coca-Cola, whatever you have, the can. If you put outside in the room temperature, in the hot condition, the gas will evaporate, right? It will not dissolve. But if you put this gas into the fridge at low temperature, If you reduce temperature, then the gas is dissolved into the solvent, and you will take it out and you drink it and you enjoy. Ah, very good, excellent. So this is the difference between solid and gas. At high temperature, the solid is going to be dissolved and the gas is going to be evaporate, not dissolve. But at low temperature, the solid cannot dissolve, but the gases all dissolve. So this is the difference between the solubility at high temperature and low temperature. And the last one is this, the Henry's law. The solubility of the gas in the liquid is proportional to the pressure of the gas over solution, right? So this is simply designated by formula C is equal to pressure, directly proportional to the pressure. So this is the proportionality constant. So we can write here C is directly proportional to the pressure. If the concentration increase, pressure increase, of course. And how you change this? C is equal to Kp. K is the proportionality constant, right? K is the constant for each gas, moles per liter. But this is, this is only the constant they have, the unit. What unit they have? Moles. How you calculate the unit? So K is equal to C over P. And C is moles per liter. Moles per liter. And divided by P. P is 1 atmosphere. This is the way how to write the unit of constant. So we can write here K is equal to moles per liter times 1 over atmosphere. So we can write here moles into atmosphere, moles per liter into atmosphere, right? This is the unit of constant. So just okay, now chapter 12 is finished. Chapter 14. I will make short now because the time is going to finish.
Okay.
Alright, now 3 chapters left. So in equilibrium, you should know the static and dynamic equilibria. What is forward reaction? What is reverse reaction? And what is the equilibrium? How the equilibrium is formed? The equilibrium setup. Okay. And what is the difference between here the forward and reverse reaction? The rate of forward and reverse reaction are same at equilibrium. This is the, remember that, right? Okay, the rate of forward reaction equal to the rate of reverse reaction. The concentration of reactant and products are constant at equilibrium. This is the only the basic idea about equilibrium status. And some reactions, that physical and chemical equilibria. Physical equilibria, only the composition never change, only the color change. right? And there you will get different, that is water, okay, state change, that is physical equilibrium, and composition change, that is chemical equilibrium. In the composition, the compound totally change. Suppose N2O4 change to NO2, like this. Law of mass action for this reaction, you know how to write. The concentration of all the product to the raised to the power coefficient divided by the concentration of all the reactant to the raised to the power coefficient. This simple way to write the law of mass action if the question is there. And you should know this one, this K is greater than 1, K is less than 1, or K is equal to 1, K is greater than 1. Of course, the equilibrium lie to the right means more product are formed, left to right. Because equilibrium shift from left to right, it means more product favored. Product favored, right? If K is less than 1, it means the equilibrium lie to the left. It means more reactant favored, right? If suppose I will write here, this is one thing I missing, that one, I don't know. If K is equal to 1, neither less nor greater, medium, right? 1. It means neither it favor to the product nor favor to the reactant. Neither favor reactant or product. It means that equilibrium. So this is I already explained how to express the equilibrium writing. These all are homogeneous and heterogeneous. Homogeneous, these all states are same. States, right? All are same. But in this, when you write the equilibrium expression, so pure liquid and solids, if there, that will not include into the expression. Kp and Kc, right? At what condition the Kp is equal to Kc? If delta N is 0, right? This is the change in the moles, that Kp is equal to Kc. Otherwise, Kp is not equal to Kc because it is multiplied by R and T and delta N. These all Kp and Kc, you know, Kc you can write for everything. Kp you can write only for gases. Okay, Kc, whenever the mole means bracket is giving in the question, right? Bracket means concentration moles per liter. It means you have to determine Kc. If the concentration is given in atmosphere, it means you have to determine Kp. This is the Kc example. And now this is the example. It is giving in atmosphere. So this is Kp calculation. Heterogeneous, as I told you, solid or liquids are there, that will not include into the expression. Just this for practice, you can go for that. I stable, okay. This one, Qc is less than Kc, the system proceeds from left to right, it means the product favored. If Qc is greater than Kc, it means the reactant favored. The equilibrium shift to the left means from right to left. So product, not product, reactant favored. If Qc is equal to Kc, it means the system is at equilibrium. One is forward reaction, other one is reverse reaction. You can say that. This is all QC calculation. I stable. I stable, you know that for I stable, for a chemical reaction is giving and all the reactants are giving, but there is no product formation, that is zero. So in this case, no need to calculate QC. QC is only calculate because QC is the reaction quotient that will give you the information about which direction reaction proceed, whether left or right. But in this way, where the product is zero, so no need to calculate. Automatically, you know that the reaction is start and the forward reaction take place. But in case of this reaction, second reaction, in which the product are there, reactant are there, but we don't know which direction reaction proceed. So first of all, we calculate QC for that, and we compare the QC with the KC, and we decide which direction reaction proceed. If it is forward reaction, then you have to use the same KC calculation. You can write here a nice table. Then you can calculate for X, and these both are same. So you can take in a square root and you will calculate X value, right? This is the method how to determine. This is already X value, you put it and put into the equilibrium position. What is equilibrium? That is X minus 0.393, X minus, right, 500 minus X, 500 minus X, sorry, and 2 into 0.093. This is already equilibrium condition. So then you put all the concentration of all these three, you can calculate like that. This is, look at here, the initial, this giving in the change is, remember, whenever the coefficient are there before the compound, so you should write 2 here, so you should write 2x, number of moles, right? So don't forget that. This way, these two values are not same. So you cannot take a square root. So you have to use quadratic equation and you will get two values, plus and minus. Which value is less than your initial concentration, that X value you consider in the final calculation. Of course, this value is less than initial, so we consider this, not this one. So you remove this. Alright. This is the X value and you calculate the concentration. This is Le Chatelier principle, the effect of concentration and effect of pressure and effect of temperature. Alright, so this is easy and you can go through that. Effect of temperature. I already explained you this in the exam, in the quiz, right? Remember that? I think this will be easy for you. Now, chapter 15. Oh, time is gone. Any question now?
No, teacher, no question.
No question. Very good. Okay. Acid base, you should know the definition of Bronsted acid and Bronsted base. If this question will be asked, okay, this is all Bronsted acid and Bronsted base with examples already given here, right? So just for the practice, HCl, sodium hydroxide, hydrochloric acid, sodium react with this. Okay, so these are simple acid and base. Base, these are the properties, right? Bronsted acid and Bronsted base, the definition you know that Bronsted acid is a proton donor and Bronsted base is a proton acceptor. This is all related to the proton. And when you have this chemical equation here, you should know that which one is Bronsted acid and which one is its conjugate base. What is Bronsted base and which one is conjugate acid? So you just go and practice for this. Bronsted acid, and you just look at the similarities of the compound NH3s. Of course, N is here, so this is a relation between this. If this is a base, so its conjugate acid is NH4. H2O and OH, these are the parent compound, water. OH is coming from water. If it is acid, water is an acid, so of course OH is minus, automatically base, conjugate base. And you remember that I already explained plus and minus. If any plus positive species, that is always acid, negative species always base. So you can also identify on that basis. Also always see conjugate acid base pair. This is the way how to write. Go just for practice it. Autoionization, water, and these calculation, how to determine the pH value of acid and of base. Strong acid, direct you can calculate. For the weak acid, you have to use Ice table to calculate X. X means for acid, X means H plus, and for base, X means OH minus. So if for any compound is base is giving or acid is giving, you have to look first which one is a strong acid or weak acid. Strong acid, directly use calculation, direct pH is equal to negative log hydrogen ion concentration. If it is weak acid, and you know the weak acid, carbonic acid, acetic acid, formic acid, these are three weak acids. If the question is there, so you have to use Ice table. You put all the values and calculate X value. X value means H plus, then you put that value into pH is equal to negative H log hydrogen ion concentration. If you have base, then you have to take the concentration of how many base, how many OH molecules you have. So you should be careful, right? For acid, only HCl. Suppose we have this HCl, right? So only one H plus, okay, and a OH, only one OH minus. If suppose you have like this, right? So it means 2 OH minus. If you have sodium, yes, sodium hydroxide, HCl, H2SO4, so you have 2H plus, right? H2CO3, so you have 2H plus, like this. So remember that when you calculate, if you have like this compound, you have to be careful whether it is 1 or 2, so multiply by that integer. This pH calculation, pH increase, concentration decrease, like that, opposite. pH values from 0 to 14, 0 to 7, 7 is neutral, 0 to 7 is acidic, and 7 to 14 is base. These all calculation. Sometime you have single calculation, sometime you will use both formulas, and you should know strong acid, strong base. I already explained on the basis of pH, Ka value or Kb value. Ka, the constant, that is, if K value is the acid constant is high, it means it's acid. Acid constant is low, it means it's a weak acid. Similarly for base. Conjugate acid and base, you know that I already explained you. Stronger the acid, their conjugate are weak. Weaker the acid, their conjugates are strong. These all are pH calculation, relation. Okay. This is the same method as I told, Ice table for the weak acid. You can calculate here. But here only you will use the 5% rule. If it is less than 5% rule, directly you calculate. If it is greater than 5% rule, you have to use quadratic equation. Lewis acid, it is opposite to the Bronsted acid, right? Bronsted acid related to the proton and Lewis acid related to the electron. Proton donor, that is an acid, that is a Bronsted acid. But here Lewis acid is electron acceptor, opposite. Bronsted base proton acceptor. Lewis base electron donator, opposite. So in this way, those have an extra electron, it means that is base. Those have no electron, deficient, electron deficient is known as Lewis acid. Okay, so in this way you can express any example you can give for Lewis acid or Lewis base, water molecule, OH, like that, right? We have another example here. Suppose we have H2O plus OH minus, right? Then we will get H2O plus H2O like this, right? So suppose one is acid, one is base, and this one is acid, so this is the conjugate base. This is already base, sorry. So this is conjugate base because this is negative, and this is conjugate acid. So this is for this, and this is for this. Okay, H2O plus OH minus you have, then you will get H3O. HCl plus NH3. So you will get Cl minus and NH4 plus. So this is plus, so it means it is acid. This is minus, so this is base. Okay. So for the Lewis acid and Lewis base, you will have some more examples. You can check from internet or from anywhere. This we have this example here. This contain lone pair of electron, this oxygen. So now this is electron donor, right? So this is this electron donate, it is base. Alright, so this will only 3, right? Octet is not complete here. So aluminum is electron deficient. So this is acid. Okay. This is see negative. This is base and this is positive. So this is an acid. See, this is the way how to. So this or electron donate base, electron acceptor acid, and this is the complex form. In this complex are formed. You have to show like that. Okay, now this is finished, chapter 15. The time is over. What can I do now? Chapter 18 is electrochemistry. You should know that this all electrochemistry means the generation of electricity while the reaction is carried out. Reaction between the electron. Movement of the electron is always giving the movement of electron, the electricity generated. You know that. And this always be a redox reaction take place here. Redox reaction means the reduction and oxidation. How the oxidation occur? Oxidation is the loss of electron. Reduction means the gain of electron. So, if suppose you have this galvanic cell, or for oxidation reduction, as I already explained how to identify which one is oxidation, which one reduction. So you should know oxidation number. So oxidation number you should calculate. If oxidation number increase, it means oxidation. If oxidation number decrease, it means reduction. Okay, suppose this how to balance it, this ion electron method. The 4 points I gave you, right? First of all, you identify which one is oxidation, which one is reduction. So you write on reduction, you start from reduction, then you start from oxidation. So write half oxidation first and half reduction. So first half reduction you start. The balancing equation now, first point, first you balance the metal. Second point, if oxygen is there, balance the oxygen by adding water on the other side. The third point is balance hydrogen by adding H plus on the other side. The fourth one is you have to balance the charge by adding electron. If it is oxidation, you add electron on the right side because the electron release. If it is reduction, then you add electron on the left hand side because the gain of electron, that is reduction. So remember these 4 points, and then you can easily write all these balancing in ion electron method. All right, so this is just go for practice. Galvanic cell. You should know that I already explained how to label it, and this one, you see the salt bridge we have, anode we have, cathode we have. Anode and cathode, you will decide on the basis of reduction potential. If reduction potential is 0, that we consider as 0 means hydrogen electrode. If it is above 0 means the positive electrode potential, that is the reduction take place. It means the less than 0, it means negative reduction potential, means oxidation take place. So higher the reduction potential, reduction take place, lower the reduction potential, oxidation take place. And you know that oxidation always carried out at anode, and anode I always put on the left hand side, left compartment. So in this way you can identify which metal you can put on the left side, which metal you can put on the right side, which one is anode, which one is cathode. In this way you have to write for the anode oxidation reaction. Suppose this is zinc, how to write for the zinc oxidation. This is suppose copper, this is reduction, how to write reduction, and this is the redox reaction in the between. And this is all our spontaneous reaction in which there is no supply of energy, no supply of anything to start the reaction. That is known as spontaneous reaction. Non-spontaneous reaction is only carried out if you supply any energy, any force to the system, then the reaction start is known as non-spontaneous reaction. How to write this, the boundary, right? Phase boundary or cell diagram. The first boundary is between in the anode, when an anode is dipped into the solution. So this is the difference between solution means ionic compound and the solid, one line determined, that is indicate in one compartment between solid zinc and ions, that is one line, one boundary, and that ion should be in 1 molar standard, 1 molar concentration. These 2 lines indicate the salt bridge, means the electric current pass from first apartment to the second compartment, right? So that indicate by salt bridge 2 lines. Then the electron is coming from the anode to the cathode, react with the ions first, because the ions always reduce, and ions reduce and change to the solid. So first electron react with, so you should write first ion, then single boundary, then solid. So in this way you have to write the cell diagram. Standard reduction potential, this I already explained. Hydrogen gas is 0. If you want to determine any standard potential for any metal, okay, so you connect that metal with hydrogen. If that metal has less reduction potential than hydrogen, you put that electrode on the reduction and put hydrogen on the oxidation. Because suppose you have, example, don't confuse please, hydrogen is 0. If you connect zinc has minus 76, so it means less than 0, right? So it means less than 0, it is oxidation. So you will put hydrogen electrode on the reduction side and put zinc on the left hand side, anode position. If you have copper, example is here, If you have this is zinc and copper, zinc and hydrogen, and this is zinc and hydrogen, same thing. I will go back again. Now this is copper. Copper is reduction potential is greater than 0. So greater than 0 means reduction. So it means copper should be on the cathode and hydrogen should be on the anode. And when you have these standard MF calculation, so you should know the formula. E cell is equal to E cathode minus E anode. Cathode and anode, you know that this cathode is zinc, sorry, hydrogen, and zinc is an anode. So that is 0.76 total. How much you are getting? E 0.76, and this is 0. Hydrogen is always zeros. You calculate E naught for zinc. So that is minus 0.76. So in this way you have to utilize this formula either for anode or for cathode, but don't change. Always a formula always same, cathode minus anode. Cathode minus anode. In this way you calculate the E naught standard for copper. See this positive 0.34 you get it. This all the reduction potentials. This will help you if the question will be given in the exam. The reduction potential will be given and you have to decide on that basis which reaction is on anode take place and which reaction is on cathode take place. But all reaction will be given in the this one in the reduction form. If the reaction is carried out at anode, so it means that is oxidation. So for oxidation you have to change the reaction. See, it is here, same example, just go through that. All right, and other things, just you roughly you will go through the, as I told you, second cell is the electrolytic cell. This only used for electrolysis, but their sign will be different. In galvanic cell, anode is minus, cathode is positive, but in electrolytic cell, anode is positive and cathode is negative, opposite. Corrosion is not here, but this is different slide. Corrosion, you should know that this is also oxidation reduction. For a mild steel, if it is corroded, sada is formed rust. So how the oxidation occur, how the reduction occur at the on the surface of the steel, you should know that. Okay. Assalama, all the best.
Salama, thank you, teacher.
Okay, I'm very sorry, 2 o'clock now I have another class.
Thanks a lot, doctor.
Thank you, teacher.